Welcome to the Wisdom to Wealth podcast. This is a show where I interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. I am your host, Shamar Star Cox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners create binge-worthy content that attracts and converts your followers into customers. I am also the founder of the Convert Content to Cash Challenge, where I teach business owners how to create content that sells in 5 days or less. So if you are a coach who is already at 6 figures, you want to know how to scale to 30K months and beyond, feel free to DM the word challenge accepted and I'll personally send you an invite. You can do that on Instagram, LinkedIn, or TikTok. And so today we have the wonderful Chanel Rose with us. She is a visionary leader in business development and philanthropy with over 15 years of experience driving growth, strategic impact, and financial success across multiple industries. Her expertise in strategic planning, relationship building, and high impact sales development has led her to multi-million dollar outcomes for clients across industries, from financial services to nonprofit advocacy. With a deep passion for helping first generation wealth builders and ambitious professionals break free from financial insecurity, Chanel leads the Wealth Shift, a movement and consulting program designed to help high achievers turn their expertise into profitable businesses. Thank you so much, Chanel, for joining us today.
Ooh, when you say it, I'm like, that's me.
That part right there. Don't you just love that
Right.
someone reads your bio?
I need to record that and listen to that in my sleep.
I love it. I love it. So let's get into your story. Take us on your journey from zero to wealth, where you started to how you got here.
Oh, child. This is like therapy. No, I'm just kidding. So, where I got started. Um, when I talk to people about my story, I always have to start at this point to explain that inherently who you are will always show up. And as a kid, my fondest memories, okay, were often rooted in things like puzzles and like those word searches. My jam. I love a puzzle. I love the figure outableness of things, right? I don't stress, like, I'm not afraid of a challenge. But what I remember is how this was activated in my real life. Like, as a kid, my grandfather was an entrepreneur. So I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur. My family, we owned a lumber tree farm. My grandfather owned a transportation company. My uncles inherited that transportation company. And now I do revenue development consulting. So fourth generation entrepreneur. And I remember as a kid, he would pick me up. Okay. He would take me to his office. Girl, he would let me answer the phone. In the summertime, he would let me go around, and I'm 5 feet tall on a good day. Okay. As a little kid, I was handing out paper paychecks to people. He would do sales calls, and he would have me say, like, hello, can I speak to Star? And people would probably be like, who is this child on this phone? Right. And so maybe that was his like little hustle through, okay, to get people to answer the phone. Who knows? That man was a genius. So I would imagine that's probably today that clicked. That's probably what was happening. But anyway, so I grew up in an environment seeing people be really successful. My grandmother, not to be outdone, okay, was an executive director. So I watched my grandmother lead teams of people, large teams of people. I watched her take the organization from the basement in a church in Cabrini Green all the way to the top floor in downtown Chicago. That transformation wasn't long. It was a bust. It was intentional. And it was very easy as a kid to understand that, you write things, you create a plan, you implement the plan, you get the reward, right? Um, my grandmother was a fundraiser. She was always telling people what they needed, how they needed it, and just like understood knowledge and services and how things small, really, like parenting classes, right? Like anything you do deserves support. Anything you do and you can leverage knowledge accelerates your path. So my entire career, I guess like my entire childhood, let's go back, was surrounded in people, decision makers, leaders, revenue generators. My grandmother's an excellent grant writer, has won millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars in grants. I wrote my first grant application when I was like 14. So just to say that, like, I've always been this person, and I loved it. I'm a yapper. I like talking about money. I like making money, and it just uplifts me. It makes me feel whole to know that people can take care of themselves. So the altruism that I experience and the joy I experience is knowing that, like, your life, and every time I enter your life, it gets better, because every time I enter your life, I am teaching you how to create wealth. I'm showing you it's possible. And so as a professional, I have done all types of things. In college, I sold hot dogs. As a professional, I've done everything from political fundraising and campaign management all the way through and including corporate investment sales. I've had multi-million dollar portfolios. I've also stepped into organizations with zero donors, zero prospects, and scaled them to millions. I've walked into organizations that have an entire database that has just it's like untapped wealth. So we have to design a plan to strategically figure out who can do what, make educated guesses, see patterns in behavior. And it just nourishes my soul. It does, to get to talk to people about ways to make money. And I suppose I could have been a doctor, a lawyer, and I'm sure I would have done well at those things. But this piece, this self-preservation, this excellence, this prestige that people crave in the vein of taking the best care of themselves, I think it was always meant for me. In my entire life, people around me have been pouring into me and investing in me. And really quickly, to reinforce that, in my family, everybody's smart. Everybody's smart. Everybody is smart. The women and the men are smart. There is no... I didn't know that people viewed women being intelligent as adversarial until I was an adult, because we were competitors. In elementary school, we were competitors. In high school, I went to an all-girls school. So I was an adult before I truly understood that these skills I had were rare. So that's my story in a nutshell.
I love that. There's a couple of things that stood out to me, but this one thing stood out. You said, I love to make money. And in my mind, I'm like, but do you also like to make it rain with money too?
Listen. If that's the storm I'm in, I'm weathering it, okay?
That part, okay?
Yes.
So I love everything that you shared. It sounds like entrepreneurship, really this leader and this boss personality has been passed down to you from generation to generation because it's already in your bloodline, right? And you said something that was so powerful, which was, when I enter your life, I make your life better because I help you to create wealth. I help you to build wealth. And so I want to know from you, how did you cultivate this mindset? So we know how you got it because it was passed down, but how did you cultivate this mindset even when hardships hit you?
Ooh, okay. You know what? I have strayed off the path a lot. I have doubted, second guessed, overthought, cost myself money, self-sabotaged, lived inside of my ego, you name it, and it all failed. My self-sabotaging failed. My procrastination failed. I know for sure that those things don't serve me. And sometimes I would get curious about how bad it could get. And so I'll go far. Now I know how bad it can get, and there's so much friction along the way. So for some people, failure, there's no friction. They choose it, they bask in it. You have that victim mentality, that romantic relationship with the idea of things and not really wanting the product of the work, right? You just want to buy the idea and not the work and the reward. And so how I pull myself away from those things and how I've honed my mindset is I'm always thinking about how can we lift together. So I have a money mindset coach currently. I've had all types of business coaches. I had a sales coach. I have had, you name it, acupuncture, therapy. I went to a Chinese medicine doctor before, church, anything that I feel can help advance me forward. I'm always open to try. And I don't subscribe to the notion that one thing will be everything, right? For example, there's this saying I tell myself all the time: faith without works is dead. Prayer requires action. You can pray and be like, please send me a job, a 6-figure job. I need it. And you open your eyes and you refresh your email, nothing happened. Well, guess what? You have not asked for a referral. You have not sent an application for a 6-figure job. Every job you send application for is the same $57,000 a year job you have. You don't want to invest in your business. You want a $7 ebook to reveal for you. Even the Bible is hundreds of pages. What makes you think this 7-page ebook is going to get you there? Make it make sense. And since we're here, there is no holy doctrine with a single author. So what makes you think that your story and your path to wealth has a single author and a single worker? It doesn't exist. Every miracle has another person in it. There's no miracle. Even the miracle of childbirth requires a child be born, right? There's a second actor in this involvement. And obviously there's a parent and all other things, but strip yourself from all that negativity and just know that every miracle requires at least one more person. And whenever you get confused, they say, well, two or more gathered, there is church, right? And this is not a thing to get deeply religious on you. It's to prove to you that there is nothing miraculous that happens alone. And so for me, the biggest sign that I am in the wrong direction is that I have no support. I'm not vulnerable. I'm not telling the truth about things. I'm not honest. And what I mean, not a lie, because y'all be confusing the two. What I'm saying is that I'm not honest is, I'll give you an example. I could be feeling really bad and a friend will call, and instead of telling my friend, listen, business is sucking right now, I need a hug, I need you to come over, can you buy me some lunch? Like, I really don't have any money in the budget to go out, but I need you to buy me some lunch today and we need to go out and talk. Can you do that for me? Like, I need some support. I need to feel like somebody cares about me. Instead, I will be hyper angry about something, because it's easier to project and express a negativity at a high rate than it is to get vulnerable and be soft. So that was a lot, but I guess to button it up, how did I hone my mindset? Is that I got real curious about myself and started to recognize the signs of self-sabotage and recognize the signs of, like, you do all this reading about success. I've never in my life read a book about success that was about one person. Never. My favorite book about success, the first thing you talked about is mentors. You talk to Oprah, she talks about her coaches, her mentors, and people like that. Any successful person, the first thing they start talking about is other people. Overwhelmingly, they talk about their own authority, right? But they talk about this person who identified their authority, this person who invested in their business, this person who shared community with them. I think that has been the biggest revelation recently, is that your network is really your net worth, right?
I love that. I mean, when you said even the Bible has lots of pages inside of it, and you trying to just consume this $7 ebook and think you're going to get everything. And honestly, I've noticed that with people who have a poverty mindset, where it's like, I'm not going to invest because I don't have the money to invest, or they're afraid because maybe they have invested before and they got burned. But the reality is, like, you're trying to consume a $7 ebook. The $7 ebook only gives you a taste of what's missing in your business for you to grow. Like, the true wealth comes from when you are actually in the presence of the mentor. And some people, they don't want to invest at that level because in their minds, they think like, one, it's a scam, or two, am I going to make my money back? I used to get people who say that to me. Will I make my money back in 7 days? Child, can you plant a plant in 7 days, and will it be strong? Like, we really have to understand that when you are sowing your seeds, it has to take time to plant and nurture. Now, if you already have the system set up and you're already experienced and you were just missing that one thing, you could make your money back in 7 days. But for the most part, if you're just starting out, there's a journey there. You want to add something?
Yeah. You said something that really, it like triggered a very strong thought for me. You said they invest in something and it failed. I'm going to keep it a buck. Let's have this conversation. I would say over 95% of the people who tell me they were in a program that failed didn't do the work. Or they did the work and didn't refine it. Let's talk about me, right? Like, I'm working. Let's talk about Chanel, because, we're not going to project. I have this money mindset coach, right? And she has this set of tools that I'm supposed to use. I want you to know I was doing the part that I felt comfortable with, even though it made me comfortable, and I wasn't doing the other piece of it. So with her, I get about 2 hours a month, but she gives me enough stuff to do every day to create good habits, to, strive for success. But me, I only wanted to do what I wanted to do, and it wasn't working. Like, everything she was saying was right. I believed it, but I wasn't doing anything that she told me to do. So yes, I was in a program. I would show up, I was participating, but I wasn't doing the work, right? And then there's this thing, right? Because we always use these like farm analogies. And when I think about planting seeds, let me tell you what people do. People will be like, for visualization's sake, you got, let's say, within the width of my arms, this is our entire plot of land. You know what people do? This. I planted my seeds. First of all, what about the vultures? Too much access. What about the other animals that are just going to eat your seeds? Baby, number one, when people say plant seeds, they mean you got to get down with your shovel and plant those seeds. Because when you plant seeds in shallow dirt, they don't have enough room for their roots to grow. And so even, people who plant, flowers that like you plant the seed shallowly, guess what? Most of those seeds never actually plant. You place them and they die, they get eaten, they drown, right? But you need to just figure out where you want your roots to grow. But also understand, if you ever look, don't believe me, go look at like corn farming, because that's easy to search. Look at it. It is a field. It is so many plants. Y'all seem to think that planting seeds is a single plant. You plant one thing one time. No, babe. You plant a seed here, you plant a seed there, you do this. So yes, you hire that coach. And if it's a money mindset coach, get curious about money blocks. Get curious about scarcity and limiting beliefs, because planting your seeds here, it's going to grow, because that's going to have the deep roots. But like, what about everything else? What about the habits? What about the stress and the things that go associated with owning a business? You can't just hire a coach. I think the coach is going to solve your problems. They give you what they can give you, but it's your responsibility to till the land. Nobody want to do that though, right? Nobody wants to be responsible for watering. Nobody wants to understand that sometimes your harvest comes after a drought. And sometimes the harvest is smaller than you expected, right? Like, it does not always come that way. And what I mean by smaller than you expected, perspective. What if in your field of corn, you expect 100 stalks of corn and you get 25, okay? But because you expected 100 and your revenue was this, you decide, oh, it failed. But what if those 25 stalks of corn that survived the drought are actually going to be worth more because there's so few corn? You get so focused on how bad the drought is, you can't even enjoy the harvest. Like, you have to do it all and see it all through and focus on what works and learn the lessons. Maybe you planted it too close together. Maybe you planted too late. But y'all be so, oh, no. I planted. Where's my harvest? Ciao, goodbye.
Girl, I really love that you shared this story. And I want to share what happened to me, because I was part of someone's program. Phenomenal coach. His name is Adam Flores. And his program is called Smart Business Mastermind. And when I joined his program, my goal was to scale to 30K months, right? Mm-hmm. And so like, he has showed us what we needed to do and all these things. And girl, I was doing the work. I was doing all the work. Everything he said, I was doing it. Everything God told me to do, I was doing it. Everything that came to my mind, I was doing it. Do you know I never scaled? I never, ever scaled, right? Mm-hmm. But do you know that program was so powerful for me, because I joined it to scale, but what I learned was how to be a CEO. And sometimes people, they're like, I just want to make money from this. But we have to remember that in order for you to get to the harvest or to, acquire the wealth, there are a certain set of skills that you need to learn. And he taught me how to be a CEO, how to start looking at my business from the perspective and make decisions as a CEO, as opposed to being an employee in my business, how to delegate, how to partner with people so they can work with me, even when I don't have the finances, how to be resourceful. All of those things I know is going to help me this year to be able to get to the next level, right? Some people, they're expecting to see the money results right then and there. Sometimes you can. I've joined programs where actually when I joined this program, I made my money back that same month, but I already had momentum, right? I just didn't scale yet, but I will. My second business coach and my first business coach, my second business coach, when I joined his program, this was Myron Golden, and I invested $27,000 to be in his program. And that same year, I only made $21,000 back. And that wasn't even, I invested more than that. His program was just $27,000. For the whole year, I probably invested $50K. And I remember going to God going like, wow, like one, I haven't worked in 18 months. At this point, 2 years, I haven't worked. And I'm investing all this money into these coaching programs, but I only made $21,000. And people kept telling me, this is going to be your 6-figure year. It wasn't, by the way. And I said to God, what happened? And he said, I taught you how to create wealth. And it hit me, because it made me think about that saying that says, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for one day. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for generations, and he'll be able to pass it down 2 generations. And God was showing me, like, I didn't just give you the money. No, I showed you how to create wealth. I showed you how to build it so that you will always have this skill set. The very next year, my business went from $21,000 to $117,000. Okay. I was like, oh, that's because I took the time to invest and do the work and refine and kept going. I promise you that year when I hit six figures, I really understood what it meant to run a business. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, go ahead. You want to share something?
No, I was just thinking about like how deeply profound and accurate that is. And I also feel like, I start saying I feel, I know that if you don't do the internal work, then the external, it shows up externally. I say this all the time. Who you are shows up in your business. If you avoid conflict, you will avoid paying bills when you feel like you're running short. You will avoid paying your employees. You will avoid telling people no. You will lack boundaries. And so therefore clients will take advantage of you. They will trauma dump on you. You'll spend the hour of your consultation 45 minutes dealing with their emotional stuff instead of actually getting them into a process strategy space. And you just let them control it, right? Instead of giving them what they paid for. And I hear you talk about your $21,000 year, but I just think that like if you only expect to get your money back, you only get your money back. I invest in things expecting an unlimited amount of ROI. And I apply what I learned in coaching programs in all areas of my life. And you know, you and I have had very candid conversations about our goals this year and what that means and how we expect to get there. And I remember I even told you, like, you coached out. You don't need any more coaches. You cannot have another coach. Like, this is not your year of coaching. This is your year of absolute certainty and clarity about how you get wealth. And I think that if I were to say, because you 5x'd, right? You went from 21,000 to 100, and you said 17,000. So you so you 5x'd, right? You could 10x this year because you'll know all the things you can't do anymore. And a lot of times when we're leveling up, we want to take more with us. And I use this analogy all the time, and I love it. Okay. So we talk about success as a path. You know what the problem with the path is? All right, y'all, I'm driving in my car. Okay. Looking this way, looking that way, looking in the back mirror. I might turn around, right? And I stop. I get out, stretch my legs. I do all these things, right? But then, you know, as life will have it, I can carry things, trauma, grief, you know, all the things, right? I'm still in my car, still driving, right? And now I'm just weighted down. And the thing about being in a car and being on the path is that you don't know how heavy your car is. You don't know how heavy your car is until maybe you're in a snowstorm and the car don't slide like it should. But that's usually not how it happens. We're not in a storm thinking, I'm glad my car is heavy, right? Success is not a path. Personal development is a path, right? Success is a climb. So when you start off, the bottom is crowded. It's trees, it's people, it's so much stuff. And also at the bottom, the sun does not feel as hot and it doesn't shine as bright. But and you also start off with a full bag, right? Because when you start off, you got unlimited amounts of things, 30 days worth of food, all the things. And you and I were talking about this, but as you climb, right, things happen. You drink more water, right? You eat more of your food. And ultimately, as you climb up, you become lighter. You physically lose weight, right? But you also literally you can't carry as much. If you tried to take everything from the bottom to the top, you would not make it. And one more time, you try to take everything to the top from the bottom, you will not make it. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to eat. You've got to drink water. You've got to do that. And the most skilled climbers, you know what they do? They in climbing clubs. Okay. So what happens is as we climb, maybe my water bottle has a hole in it. You know what's going to happen? Everybody around me going to give me a swig. Okay. Then when we climb again, everybody's going to give me a swig. If I forgot my energy bar, everybody's going to give me a piece of their bar so that I'm whole. Okay. So we are all operating at the same continuum. That's what happens. The skill again is that we cannot all do it alone. And so similarly with you, right? You have been going to climbing classes. Your coaches have been teaching you how to climb. I firmly believe that in this season, why you're in alignment and why I feel in alignment is that I am now in my climbing club. And so we are climbing, and the higher up you climb, people quit. But the strongest, most successful climbers, okay, you know what they have in common? Their team is solid. If you want to quit, they like, okay, what's up? Why you want to quit? You need some time? Cool. We're going to take this extra hour. Or you feel sick, we will help you and stay with you till you heal. Or if we have to, we will carry you until you're strong enough to carry yourself. That's the difference. I feel like most of the time is that when I talk to solopreneurs, I ask them, where's your community? Where's your team? And they're like, oh, I have my husband. I have my wife. That's too much pressure. That's too much pressure on any relationship. You need people. You need people because what you know what's that saying? It takes a village. You need a village. And I really just think, you are in your expert climbing season. And me too.
Girl, I just really loved everything you said. And it made me think about that story in the Bible where there was a man, he was an invalid and he was on his bed, and his friends carried him to the roof while Jesus was teaching and lowered him into the house so that Jesus could heal him. He couldn't do the climb on his own. There was no way he was getting out of that bed, but he had a group of people that could actually lower him into the room so that God could perform the miracle. And he got healed because of this people. So you are so right. Like, you have to be in the groups and the communities that's going to help to lift you up so that you can keep on going. So I loved everything that you shared about that. Renaya just wrote in the chat, the most successful climbers have a solid team. That is exactly what you shared. And so we talked a lot about team building. We talked a lot about having this team in order for you to grow. I know we're going to get ready to wrap up, but I want to know from you, how do you help your clients, right? Like when they're coming to you, they're ready to scale their business. Talk us through a story of where they start, and then what are 3 things that you share with them to help them get to that next level as they're climbing?
Ooh, that's a good question. So a lot of the things that we do privately and quietly is working on them as people. So we have a lot of conversations around journaling and taking good care of yourself, prioritizing you first, healthy boundaries. I would say that is 90% of the evolution, but it's about 10% of what we do. Really what I do is figure out, what are you best at? Okay. And how do we just do that thing? Like, what is your zone of genius? I read this book, and essentially it was like zone of incompetence. Most people are operating in their zone of incompetence. We get stuck in our incompetent work, meaning things we can do, we shouldn't do, like creating flyers on Canva or creating email automations. Then that next layer is like that zone of excellence. This is where like the successful people we see stay at, right? They're excellent at it, but honestly, it does not unleash them and make them feel whole. So my goal is always like, where's your zone of genius? What's this thing you do? You could wake up and do every day. You could wake up and even in your pajamas, people will be like, what? Gimme, right? We do that. We figure out how we uncover what the zone of genius is, and then we create what I call demand positioning. So I help you understand, who do you want to sell to? How do you want to sell to them? And get you in front of them deliberately. My favorite thing to do is really 2 things. I call it the money, which is DM strategy. And even before that, I had a client who last month had her first 500K month. Here's what she did. Before we talked to anybody, we spent a week of solid engagement and prospecting. So we went through it, all the people who she said she wanted to do business with. We created a strategic plan to reach out to those people directly. And before we even did that, we prospected, we engaged, and then we had the money conversations. We got in the DMs, we converted those DMs into sales calls, and those sales calls got her 20 one-on-one clients to 25K. And people are like, oh, it's not that simple. It really is. If you take the time to create the plan and then you just work the plan, it's simple. All the things that you do in life that are easy are usually the ones that are most profitable. The reason why you're struggling with it is because you operate in your zone of incompetence or your zone of excellence. But when you're a genius at it, it's easy. It just flows to you. And here's the other thing, it's boring. Usually your zone of genius is boring to you because it's so easy, it comes so natural that you don't understand how this is so easy for you and it's so hard for other people. And I help you eliminate that disconnection, friction, where you just feel like in your ego that you're better than people because you know it and they don't, or that they're not good enough to be around you because they don't know what you don't know. So I would say, like, in a sentence, I show you how to create wealth based on what you know versus what you do.
Absolutely love it. I think that that's super powerful. Love when you refer to DM conversations as the money conversations.
Yeah.
There are so many influencers, or really business owners and social media marketeers, I should say, who always try to shy away from DMs, and they're like, you can do this without DMs, and you can. Like, there are so many different strategies, but really those DMs is where you're going to nurture the relationships of your prospects, right? Like, you can post the content, sure. I see a lot of people, they post the content and they just want the people to come to them, and that's it. Like, oh, just come and buy. And some people will do that. I've had people just, bought right off my video. But the majority of the people that I speak to, here's the key thing, I'm speaking to in the DMs. Like that's where the money is. And we can't run away from it. Whether you're choosing to do it via email, you're choosing to do it via sales call, or you're doing DMs to sales call, you need to have a sales strategy in place so that you're actually converting your followers into customers or subscribers into customers. So
Yes.
let me ask you this final question. How can people work with you? As you shared, simple steps on how you can work with them. For those who are interested in working with you, how can they work with you?
If you just DM me ready on Instagram or on LinkedIn, I'm happy to have this conversation with you. And I wanted to touch on one more quick thing because I've heard this a lot, which is like, you don't have to worry about cold leads and that you don't have to talk to people. There's no cold conversations. I want to demystify this for you because I see this so much. Number one, the people who are not doing any sort of cold outreach, I don't know how they're doing. I don't know how they're doing business, because you have to I guess you could keep trying to get the same people to buy from you, and that's cool. But those people who don't do cold outreach have tens of thousands of people in their ecosystem, and they're running ads. So the ad is helping people get warm up to them. They might have a webinar. There's some way people are becoming familiar with them. I don't know how to say this any plainer. Everybody who makes money is talking to cold leads every day. So please know that everybody's talking to them one way or another. Or they have a team. That's the other thing. They don't tell you they got a team of people in the DMs.
I love that. And you know what? For some people, they say they're not doing cold DMs because, or cold outreach, because in their minds, like they're not physically going to someone and saying, hey, you want to buy from me? That's what people think cold is. But cold engagement is a real thing. I have seen people who have just been commenting on my posts, showing me love. And we built a relationship over the years. And now I'm like, oh, maybe I should work with you. I started off cold. I didn't know you from a hole in the wall. You may not have ever said, hey, do you want to buy from me? But you were intentional about engaging with me because you knew eventually I could become a client or a collaborator or a partner, right? So there is a level of cold outreach. Do you want to talk about the Wealth Shift course? Because I also had that here so that you can talk about it.
You know what? I want to talk to people. Yes, I do have a course that will teach you how to take what you do and turn it into a profitable business. But I really want to talk to you about people who are within the sound of my voice. If you are ready, you're a business owner, you are ready for that next level of wealth. Maybe you are consistently hitting an income ceiling. Maybe you are excited about growing in a different direction. Maybe you are just ready for your authority. You recognize now, like with Star, right? She had her 100K year and she's like, I know that there's better out there. I need a strategy. I need consistency. I need accountability. I need somebody to help me create these steps that get me in the direction I want to be in. That is the people who I want to work with. There are qualifiers. You have to say, I'm doing the work. I can't work with people who aren't doing the work, who are unsure, unclear. I am ready to help people advance and amplify and grow in the right direction and just bask in the warmth of their own light. So you are somebody who's within the sound of my voice. You are meant to be here. You want to increase your revenue. You want me to teach you how to prospect and then convert. You want to have people selling themselves to you on sales calls. You want to be able to work from anywhere. You want that 10-hour work week. You know that on the other side of this year is the best version of yourself. And you are ready and willing to invest in yourself and get a high return on your investment. So I really only want to work with investors who are doing the work. So if you invest in yourself, let's chat.
That part. And I dropped the link in the chat for her Wealth Shift course so she can get access to it. It is also on Instagram, YouTube. And for those of you who are watching the replay, you'll be able to get access to it on the replay. Chanel, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your journey. Thank you so much for just really helping us to shift our minds to wealth. That was amazing. And I want to thank everyone else who have tuned in, dropped your comments in the chat, was able to engage with us. Again, you can catch the replay, and we'll be back again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern with another powerful episode of Wisdom to Wealth. You all have a great day.